Hey guys, I'm Campbell here with Cole Buildings and Barndominiums, and this is Juan Adriatico, president of Cole Buildings. We have some questions that people have been asking us. Our first question, can you explain to us how our building process works?
Yes, okay, from start to finish. A lot of people ask, like, what is the order and what are the procedures to building a custom home, or particularly a steel barndominium with Cole Buildings. So the first step, obviously, is funding, financing. Is this going to be a cash build, or is this going to be a finance build? That's typically the budget is the driving force of the whole entire build. If you don't know what the price is or how much the build is going to be, it's going to be very, very difficult for designers to design anything. And a lot of times people are reluctant to share their budget, which is fine, but we could design a build for $125,000 or for $20 million. You see where I'm at? So it's custom. Just tell us what you want to build, because we've done builds. We are residential and we're commercial, so we can do both. Okay, so we really need to know what the game plan is. So speaking of plans, after your budget, you need to get into design, because you need to figure out, based off your budget and based off your plans, is going to be the driving force, and basically tell everybody what's going on. So your plans is your second step, because the people that need to see your plans is the bank. They're not going to give you a loan without plans. The general contractor needs to see it, because we're going to do an estimate. Well, we can't estimate something because we don't have plans, so we got to have plans. The subcontractors that are bidding out the projects for the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC, and the concrete, gotta have plans. What else? The plans tell us everything. How we're going to lay out the interior walls, and how we're going to lay the bedrooms, and how we're going to lay the plumbing, and how we're going to insulate the build. So all this requires plans. Without plans, you really don't have anything. So that's usually the second phase. And then you move into, after you get the plans, with us, you get a quote on, you get pre-engineering. So it has to go to pre-engineering to prepare it for the manufacturing plant, to take the architectural plans and marry it up to the CAD software for structural engineering. After that's completed, that's including part of the planning process, then we move into estimating. Then one of our general contractors will go out to your job site, one of our partners, one of my partners, go to the job site, and based off our estimating, in-house estimating team, they'll do a full analysis based off of what you want, your finishes, whether you want quartz, whether you want granite, whether you want, if you want to go high end, low end for your build, your finishes. You want crown molding, you want hardwood floors, you want laminate. That can vary in price. So your money's really poured into the finishes. Based off our estimating team and the contractor doing a site visit, evaluating the project, and our project managers looking at the project, staking it out, how much excavation, how many trees need to be cleared, do you have to drop a well in, do you have to pull electric, do you want to pull electric overhead and underground trench it to the job site, do you want to run a 4-inch slab, a 6-inch slab, are you having to go through rock, or is it soft dirt? So all these elements taken into consideration will vary in the price of your custom build, okay? That's just how it works. Next is, after that estimating is completed, and first you gotta have a price on the steel building on materials, and then get a price on the erection of the building and equipment rental. After that's done, then you go to full estimation, which is a fee for that. And then we move into, after you accept the fees and you accept the price on the total build and what's the cost of building, we submit it to financing. We submit it to the bank. It goes to the bank does an evaluation of it, looks at the draw systems and how everything's to be drawn. Everything's communicated between the bank and the general contractor and ourselves. And then we start the building process. And then the first step is obviously excavation, well, electric, septic. We got to order the stamped steel plans from the manufacturing plant. Then we go ahead and lay the concrete pad down, and the plumbing, rough out your plumbing, your electrical, your concrete pad. Then we order the building order in the second draw, and we erect the building, put the building up, and within the third, fourth, or fifth draw, we finish it out and do landscaping. So it becomes a beautiful barndominium. So basically, you get your certificate of occupancy at the end, give you the keys to your nice custom home, and we're done. So that basically is the process from start to finish of how these builds are kind of flow.
Cool. Our second question, what is the difference between an architect, a designer, an MEP
MEP engineer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a civil engineer and a structural engineer.
Okay, so very cool. So a designer, or sometimes called contractors, they'll do the interior design. but we go a step further because we have to do the pre-engineering. So not only do we do interior design, custom design, offer a flat fee, no change orders, fees. It can get very expensive when you go to a licensed architect or an engineer. So we're able to save our clients thousands of dollars by using our own in-house designers that will design to a steel structure. That's what we specialize in. We do stick too, but if you have to involve a third-party structural engineering firm, you're looking at sometimes between $8,000 to $20,000 in structural engineering. That usually we try to avoid at all costs by using our steel structures. Now their design fees are pretty minimal, anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 on a design fee. You can go to an architect. You got an architect that will do our architectural designs for 17 grand, but architects, a lot of times you don't need that. So we try to mitigate the pricing. So architects are usually licensed architects that go to school for 4 years, and you usually do another 2 to 3 years, and then they can sit for their exam to get their architectural license. And structural engineers take care of the structure, so they stamp and seal the structure, make sure the basic calculation of the wind and snow loads. You got your civil engineers. They do basically how the layout's going to be, infrastructure, where the water's going to flow, where the electrical is going to be pulled to, where the house is going to sit, or the buildings are going to sit in relationship to the land, the topography of the property, how much excavation is going to be taken care of. Is there a lot of rock? Is there a lot of trees? There's a lot of, they do soil tests. Civil engineers basically do the infrastructure of the property, and they usually go to school between 4 to 8 years to get their license. Professional engineers will study between 6 to 8 years with training under a senior engineer. They're called juniors. The juniors train underneath a senior engineer for years until they can sit for the exam, and they have to be licensed in that state that they're stamping and approving. And they can't stamp sealed plans in other states if they're not licensed there, similar to an attorney or a nurse or a doctor. So they have to have a state license for that state, and also sometimes for that local municipality. And that's the structural engineers, civil engineers. Then you get to MEP engineers that do the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So they're in charge of making sure that your res checks and all your HVAC systems and your energy calculations and your electrical plant, everything's safe on how the electrical and the plumbing and the water is going to flow in and out of the building. Okay, so sometimes you need a structural engineer, MEP engineer involved for certain areas. You typically in Florida you have to have them, and then you also have an EPA consultant. We do EPA, Environmental Protection Agency consulting, because sometimes depends on your area where you're building. It might have a lot of stipulations and codes and regulations, and you have to bypass all that, and that's where we jump through the hoops for you to do that, to pretty much get you to build your home. Because you can have a piece of property, but if you're in a wetland, you just can't build. So we also offer those services as well. So.
Our next question, what is a general contractor and why do they have to be licensed?
Okay, so a general contractor, usually they have to sit for a state exam, they have to sit for a national exam. Not all states require a licensing, that you have to be licensed and sit for exams, but our licensed general contractors that we bring on board, that we partner with, that I have partners with, they are licensed. They are licensed by Florida Code, which is the gold standard for the national exam for general contractors. They're in charge of making sure they control the money, the flow of money. They are in charge of making sure that all the subcontractors do what they're supposed to be doing. They're in charge of making sure everything's done to inspection, so that everything's done to code. So you have two types of code. You have IBC code and International Residential Building Code. So based off of their experience, based off of their relationships with their subcontractors, based off of their experience, they know what certain things look for and what not to look for. They know how to save you money, or if you try to do it yourself, you can cost yourself a lot more money and trouble and time that you really don't want to. So the banks will only entrust. A lot of times you have to have a licensed general contractor for a bank to entrust that money, that loan money, to them. Just because you get a loan does not mean that's your money. It's a loan. It's the bank's money. And the bank does not usually trust home builders who have no experience building homes, taking that money and building their own, constructing their own build. And regardless of what you've seen on HGTV and what you heard or what you've seen, they will only entrust that money to somebody who is reputable and usually has 2 years plus experience, if not 4 years experience in the industry. Somebody has at least $1 million general liability insurance. Somebody also has a workman's compensation, so if anything goes wrong in the property, so if you don't get sued. And usually that builder incurs all the risk and liability. So if anything goes wrong, they have a timeline that they have to build on, and it's their license on the line. So there's a lot of headaches, a lot of heartaches that goes to a custom home building. So at the end of the day, why do people get paid 20%, 30%, sometimes 40% for these builds, for project management and getting all the subs in order? It's because it's very time consuming, and time is money. So at the end of the day, I mean, builders, my hat is off to my builders and off to my partners, because they deal with a lot more of the details that can really be frustrating. So that's why we have licensed insured general contractors that are partners with myself, and we're partners in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas.
Our next question, what is our lead time on building, and how long will it take to wreck a building?
Okay, so our buildings, we can get the steel structure. This steel building right here, this is a 2,000 square foot building. I can get this building to you in 4 to 6 weeks, the building itself. After we've cleared all calculations and engineering, we've cleared all architectural design. Get it to you in 4 to 6 weeks, and then we can have it erected within a week or two, dried in, just like you see here. So we do the exterior windows, we do the exterior doors, everything's dried in. This is what it means when you dry in. Okay, you look around, all my guys did the doors, they did all the windows. Lillian and his crew did a fantastic job. We have some great crew members, great foremen that run these jobs. And then final inspection, I'll come over here to make sure everything's done properly. So.
All right, that's it for us.
That's all right. All right, guys, check us out on the web at coldbuildings.com, and we look forward to serving you guys. Have a blessed day.